Hello and welcome to Five Writers, 5 Minutes, where five children's authors share their amazing wisdom. Today's guest is Nathan Luff, author of The Nerd Herd and Family Disasters. I'm Lian Tanner.
I'm Deborah Abela.
I'm Sarah Armstrong.
I'm Zanni Louise.
And I'm Nathan Luff.
And today we are talking about baddies. How do we create villains that our readers love to hate? Baddies, villains are my absolutely favorite characters to write because people who are really, really bad are so much more fun to write about than people who are really, really good. There are a couple of big things for me that I need to remember when I'm writing a villain. And the first one is that they don't think they are the villain of the story. They actually think they're the hero. And what they're doing makes absolute sense to them, even if it doesn't make sense to anyone else. I was reading a little while ago that when Vladimir Putin was this little kid, he was a skinny little kid, and apparently he grew up in this tower block in the middle of somewhere or other, this really violent place. And it was the sort of place where you had to attack someone before they attacked you. And when I heard that, it was like this revelation because it makes so much sense of the way he behaves as an adult. First of all, I want to think about why my villain behaves as the way they do. The second thing that I want to remember is that a good villain needs to be powerful, because a weak villain is too easy to defeat, and that doesn't make for a good story. So if we want our readers to be on the edge of their seat, kind of thinking that maybe the villain's going to win, then the villain has to be really, really strong. I want to read you a little bit from Secret Guardians, the second book in one of my trilogies. The name has momentarily escaped me. No, the Rogues trilogy. That's the one. The second book in the Rogues trilogy has one of my favorite villains, the Harsh Man. He's a 500-year-old warrior who's been brought back from the dead, and he loves war. And this is what he says: wars were good. Wars sorted out the weak from the strong and the clever from the stupid. Perhaps he would start 2 at the same time, or 3. He would turn the entire population into soldiers, whether they liked it or not. All of them, including the babies. They would not be able to wield a spear, so he would give them blunderbusses instead. Anyone could fire a blunderbuss, even a baby. So he's kind of this cartoony character, but he is also incredibly powerful, like he's capable of doing this stuff. So it's a real worry whether our heroes can actually beat him. Deb, how do you go about creating a villain?
Oh, they're fun, aren't they? It's so fun to create a baddie. And in the Book of Wondrous Possibilities, I've created it looks like 2 baddies, but there's one that is actually thoroughly bad, I think. And then you kind of discover why, though. It's a bit like your Putin story. And then there's another one that seems bad, but actually, I don't know, he's acting in a way that seems bad, but he, like you said, Lian, he doesn't think he's bad at all. He actually thinks he's really well-intentioned. And I wanted to talk about that a little bit because our villains need to be human. I think if they're too, I am terrible and I'm going to, slay the world, I want to know that they also are human. I want to know actually their vulnerabilities, because I think then it kind of in some ways makes their badness kind of more real and kind of more profound in that way. And the power imbalance is something that other people give to them. But I wanted also to mention, so in the Kindness Project, there is a character called DJ who could be seen as the bad character. He's like the bully in this group of 4 kids who have to work together to create a kindness project. And I remember this group saying, oh, I don't like DJ at all. Oh, he's so awful. And I remember saying to you all, just bear with me. You are about to discover something about DJ that, yes, the way he is acting is kind of pretty mean, but something's going on with DJ. And once you know what's going to go on, and also the transition he's going to make, I think you're going to love DJ. And all of you are like, nah, I doubt it. I don't think I'm going to ever love DJ. And I like that too. I want a complex baddie, I think. I think that for me is just a way more satisfying baddie.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with everything you've both said in terms of understanding what's driving your baddie, because whatever it is they're doing to solve a problem of their own. Just like we give our other characters a problem and then they have to take action to try and solve that problem. The baddie also has a problem that they are trying to solve. So I think the more you can get really clear on what's the problem they're trying to solve and make that problem really matter to them, again, coming back to stakes and all those things, then that will give their side of the story a really strong drive and make it even more scary. I mean, with Big Magic and Magic-A-Rhyme, my publisher was like, make your baddie badder. So I had to try and make her more scary. I think there was part of me that was holding back from, I didn't want to write a character that was too awful. And I just had to sort of let myself go and almost go over the top, playing around, doing that kind of free writing and just mucking around to say, how bad could she get? And then I used actually quite a lot of it in the end. And I think as long as they get their comeuppance at the end, it's okay for them to be pretty bad. So that was like heaps and heaps of fun for me to do that. And I agree that if you can give them a bit of a redeeming quality and make them complex, it just makes them more interesting as a baddie as well. And it's sort of more reflective of true life too. The kind of real baddies that we have around now, they're not just monochromatically bad, are they?
I like those ideas. Well, I was racking my brain while you guys were talking because I was like, I don't think I write any baddies, like baddies.
Why does this not surprise me?
Well, because I write the middle grade is contemporary realism. And I remember saying to someone, I was like, well, I deliberately don't have bully characters in there because I feel like a lot of contemporary realism falls back on the bully trope, you know, being like, this is the one bad thing that can happen in contemporary realism. Whereas I think there are lots of bad, you know, that you can have lots of conflicts and in interpersonal and internal. So it's often like the character themselves who has something in themselves that they're wrestling with. And that's kind of the crux of the story. But like all you guys, you know, I think the so-called bad characters, you know, are a bit nuanced, you know. So I was just thinking of Ray from Cora Seen and Heard, who stares harshly at Cora when she walks into the room, you know, but you can tell straight away she isn't bad as such. Like it's a bit of a persona that she puts on. Yeah, as a reader though, I think I'm drawn more to baddies who, like you were saying, are a bit more complex, a bit more layered, like Voldemort, you know, like I want to know his backstory. I want to know the intricacies and kind of feel sorry for him as well. You know, there is, you often do have a tiny bit of empathy reserved even for the worst of those characters. How about you, Nathan? What's your strategy?
Yeah, I agree 100% with all that. As a kid, I was bullied a little bit by a lot by my older brother. And I remember just hating him so much and just, you know, I didn't ever consider it from his side until his violence got so bad that he was sent off to see a psychologist. And just that moment made me think, oh, there's something else going on in his head. You know, I'd never considered it before that. And I think with writing, I'm often thinking about that. When I became a teacher, it's also that thing of behavioral management, looking at why a kid's acting out in certain ways. And so again, I always apply that to my characters. So I'm always trying to I end up loving my baddies by the end and feel so sorry for them that they've had this struggle. But when I was thinking about this topic, the baddies you love to hate, I started to think, well, who are the baddies I love to hate? And I realized actually, like my top two would be Trunchbull and Dolores Umbridge from the Harry Potter world. And the thing that unites them is power, like we were talking about, but the utmost power and the abuse of it. And how I feel. And I guess because as a kid, I always felt very powerless. My brother was so much bigger than me. In general, everyone was bigger than me. I always felt like this, you know, misfit, outcast. And so having someone with that ultimate power, I love them because I know there's going to be a moment at the end where they're going to best them. I know it's coming and I'm there for it. And I will suffer all of the trials that you will go through with that character for that moment. And it's so sweet when you get it. And so then I looked at my writing and I realized there are those moments. Usually there's blackmail, things like that, where the power dynamic shifts in this really unfair way. And I think that's because I'm obsessed with exploring those power dynamics amongst people.
I think power dynamics are a really important part of it, aren't they? And for me, the other important part of it is selfishness. I think all my villains are very self-focused, you know, sort of regardless of their motivation, it's about greed and it's about selfishness. So everybody's got a slightly different approach here, but there are some things we agree on. We hope this has been helpful. Go off and create a wonderful villain who your readers will love to hate. We are 5 Writers, 5 Minutes. You can find us on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. And we hope you enjoyed this session. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.